Hey, how's it going, Nostalgia? This is Ryan from the Nostalgia Factor back in with another review, and in today's video we're going to be finally covering the last episode of Yu-Gi-Thon with Yugioh Reshef of Destruction. Released in 2004, Konami finally came out with an installment that was kind of a sequel to Sacred Cards, with Reshef being an alternative scenario into something that happened after the events of Battle City, with you, the player character, alongside your best friends Yugi and Joey, going to stop the ancient resurrection of Reshef, a basically ancient deity that wants to shroud the world in darkness, but with a twist. Pegasus, having lost to Yugi back in Duelist Kingdom in this alternative dimension, if you want to call it that, resurrects Reshef and becomes possessed, now known as Solchavalsky, and is attempting to not only thwart you, but also maintain power with Reshef so that way he can rule the world. What I really like about this game, too, for one of its major strong points is the story. This is an all-original story that has never been shown in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, and has a lot more personality and diversity among the characters. All your classic favorites come back, Yugi, Joey, Kaiba, Mokuba, and a bunch of other familiar faces from the anime, and it's an absolute wonder to go through and encounter new and old villains in a brand new environment, like Bandit Keith returning with a new and improved version of the ghouls, now the Neo Ghouls, something original that this game did, and of course, this alternative scenario of Pegasus being an evil villain who resurrected a deity that you hadn't heard of previously in the anime. They add so many new characters and have so many really great interactions with the dialogue that truly brings out the personalities of these people, and the fact that the story is original in itself makes this completely worth the journey through this game alone. And the main thing you're going to be doing throughout this game too is you get to see really cool locales. You get to go to places like China, the Galapagos Islands, revisit Pegasus's Island for the first time in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Gameboy game. You travel all over the world looking for 6 Millennium items, or 7 technically counting Yugi's puzzle, which goes missing unexpectedly one day. And all this starts out with a tournament. Of course, you later find out Reshef was resurrected by Shizu, and you journey all over the world to get back the Millennium items, free Pegasus, and of course seal Reshef away once again, with Kaiba kind of aiding in your quest. So it's a really original story and it's really fun. I don't really want to give away too many spoilers, even though, you know, GBA game and whatnot, people aren't really going to be expecting much from this department. But for an original Yu-Gi-Oh! Game Boy Advance game story, this game is absolutely great with the story department. I love it. I love the characters. I love the world building. I love the originality. It's just great. thing this game does well for a Game Boy Advance game is the visual department. Now, it is similar to Sacred Cards in the sense that there are pre-rendered backgrounds. There's some untextured things and whatnot that pop up every now and then. Different buildings, different forests, rainforests, the Great Wall of China even that you go into, they're all pre-rendered. So nothing really pops out other than like the player character, your main party members, and of course any NPCs you can duel, and main characters, and really cool monster animations that are very much improved from the original Sacred Cards game. Which, all in all, like the backgrounds aren't really that detailed or amazing, but the animations in battle, the great sprites and detail and whatnot that they have in the cards and the descriptions, they have all sorts of really good visual aid that help the game out a lot, especially when you're in the middle of dueling, because you're going to be doing a lot of dueling in this game, which is something that we'll preface here in the main gameplay part, which there's a major difference between this game and Sacred Cards, but the visual department, it looks alright for a Game Boy Advance game. Nothing really amazing, but it's alright overall. And the music in this department, again, not bad. I think it's improved over Sacred Cards by far. Still have like the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Egyptian kind of theme music going on there. The Domino City theme's really good. There's some really cool atmospheric sound effects and whatnot that play in certain areas, but I'd say all in all, the music in this game is alright, along with the visuals. Similar to Sacred Cards, the same kind of dueling system also makes a return here in Reshef, with not only standard dueling techniques and obviously having 8,000 life points for you and your opponent, you also have the different monster elements that return here. For example, in the scenario that I mentioned before, Shadow Curtain, which has 600 attack points and is a shadow element, can beat a 3,000 attack point Blue Eyes because of its light element. There's a lot of things like that that can help you customize decks, even though you may have weaker monsters than your opponent. If you customize the elements toward what monsters your opponent has, you can sweep through their decks, granted that you grind enough in this game, which is something that I want to talk about greatly in this game. That is the most changed gameplay-wise out of everything Sacred Cards did, but the standard dueling gameplay is here. Of course, it's not the traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! That everyone might be used to, but the same system from Sacred Cards returns here. But the big difference is in this game, the developers listened a little too well, like I mentioned previously. Sacred Cards, when it comes to the difficulty, Sacred Cards was a really easy game to go through. You were not going to have much difficulty. You had no problem getting high-level monsters. You had no problem building up a deck capacity in order to store high-level cards. You had no problem building up a duelist level so that way you could use high-level cards. No problem with that whatsoever. Sacred Card was a breeze, other than the last duel or two, with Yugi and Merrick toward the end of the Battle City Finals. This game, however, takes a vastly different approach. This game is a very slow and very grindy game. It is by far 10 times harder than what Sacred Cards is, and as a lot of people who have played this game might know, it gets a little too difficult and cheap with many of the duels in this game. Don't get me wrong, the context that a lot of these duels happen in are really great for the story, and it's all original, and I absolutely love the story in this game, but the heightened difficulty in this game is unbelievably crazy. You have to grind so much to raise your duel capacity, raise your deck capacity, raise your duelist level. Being able to acquire high-level cards takes a ton of money. That'll take you hours upon hours to grind out, and quite frankly, the monsters that you start out with are really, really pathetic in comparison to Sacred Cards. Sacred Cards, you could start off with a 1,000 to 1,200 attack point monster, not even partway through the game. In this game, you will be lucky to get those monsters toward the end of the game, and this is a several hour game. I'm talking like 10 to 20 hours at least if you want to grind out everything. In fact, it's probably more than 20 hours. If you want to grind out every single card, you want to raise your deck capacity to the highest amount possible in order to use every single card in this game, and even have your duel level high enough and a deck capacity big enough to store these cards, you have to grind for so long off so many people, and the bad part is, it takes forever to do so. And a lot of the duels later on in the game, you have multiple different gauntlets that you have to go through, like battling the Neo-Ghouls throughout the train station, or you have to battle Solchevalsky's minions or Pegasus' minions on his island. The problem is, let's say you have a duel with 5 duelists in a row. 8,000 life points that you can restore at your home normally in between duels. That's great. It's fast. It works fine. But through these dueling marathons, not only would you have weaker cards than usual, and it takes forever to do, and let's say you lose on the third duelist while you're in the middle of this 5-player rank. Well, not only do your life points not recharge after every single battle that you do in a row, because if you're down to, like, let's say 2,000 life points, your third opponent out of the 5 is still going to have 8,000 life points. And if you lose, it's back to the beginning, bucko, and you have to redo the entire thing. And because you don't get very many high-level cards, it makes it incredibly frustrating to get through these kind of gauntlets. And some of your opponents toward the end of the game get 10 to 20,000 life points. Well, not only do you still have your standard 8,000, but by that point in the game, you'll have either had to grind a bunch or have to get incredibly lucky with different monster elements in order to even get close to beating them. That's how grindy this game is, and that's how much more challenging this game is. And that's something that where I see the developers were coming from with trying to make the game more creative and challenging throughout the gameplay and the story. I think that they went a bit too overboard. A lot of the stuff's unfair, and unless you're willing to pour a bunch of hours into the game, it's not really going to be worth it to a lot of people. And I have a feeling that's what turned off a lot of people from this game back in the day. Despite the negative things I brought up, like the over-the-top difficulty and increased grindiness of this game that was 10 times harder than what it should have been, and far more complicated, I have to give this game credit in a lot of areas. It has a fantastic story, the visuals look amazing for the time, and the music quality is still there for Yu-Gi-Oh standards, and the gameplay is still fun. It just sucks a lot of the fun out when you realize you have to spend several hours grinding just to complete the game. But one thing I can give Reshef credit for over Sacred Cards is while Sacred Cards ends abruptly and takes you back to the final duel no matter how many times you beat the game, this game actually is a post-game. Not only can you go and battle other main characters that you encounter throughout the game in their respective places, but you can also go to a secret area and battle all sorts of, not just old characters like Kaiba and Marek and whatnot, but you can also go back and battle other characters that haven't appeared in the game, like Yami, Marek, Noah from Season 3 of the original anime. You can battle Pegasus in his normal form. You can battle Yami Yugi. There's a lot of really cool and unique characters from the anime and from other parts of the game that just go in one. And that's a really fantastic post-game, in my opinion. It's really good. So, all in all, Reshef is a game I recommend to all of you out there. I would say that if you're not into grinding for cards and whatnot, and you really don't like really difficult games, play Sacred Cards. It's a more casual experience, but for the hardcore players out there who want to put in the time, Reshef would be the game for you. All in all, Reshef is a good game overall, and I recommend you at least give it a look. And that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been the end of Yu-Gi-Thon. I may do another marathon where I look at some other Yu-Gi-Oh games, but for now, guys, we have some other individual reviews I'm planning on doing in the future, and of course, June, we have our marathon coming up, so. But hopefully you guys enjoyed Yu-Gi-Thon with the 3 reviews we put out so far. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to catch more reviews in the future like this one, and comment down below what you guys think about Reshef from what you've played, what you've heard from other people, or what you see here in this video. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. With that in mind, guys, this has been Ryan from The Nostalgia Factor saying, keep on gaming.